Good morning, Kasturians. Today we are going to start with your class 10th, chapter number 8, How Do Organisms Reproduce? We have done the introduction part so far. Now we will move towards types of reproduction. Reproduction is of two types. One is asexual reproduction, the other is sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is the reproduction which involves only one organism. In asexual reproduction, one single organism multiply itself and divide into two to produce the progeny. No other organism is involved in this process. Only a single cell organism is involved. Usually this asexual mode of reproduction is seen in unicellular organisms like amoeba, but sometimes some multicellular organism and few plants also follow this pattern, and we will be studying this pattern in detail. While if we talk about sexual reproduction, in sexual mode of reproduction, as we have studied, it involves two individuals. Two individuals are involved in this. One is male and the other is female, and they produce sex cells, and then these sex cells are also known as gametes, which fuse to form new organisms. The sexual reproduction is a quite complex procedure as compared to the asexual reproduction. So about asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, the basic thing is fission. It is most common in unicellular organisms, and when the fission results in the formation of two daughter cells, it is known as binary fission. The most common example is paramecium. While if instead of two daughter cells, if we are getting multiple daughters, then it is known as multiple fission, and the example is plasmodium. The plane of fission may be different in different organisms. What does it mean by plane? What does plane may be different? Plane means it is not necessary then that the organism should divide from the middle. It can divide from any part. Like first, the parent amoeba is dividing by the process of fission. For the division, the parent amoeba first elongates its nucleus. Then this nucleus, after elongation, further divide itself into two. Even the cytoplasm of the cell also multiplies and is increased in mass, and later on it divides into two cells which are identical to each other. They look alike and they are known as daughter cell. This is binary fission. Why binary fission? Because only two daughter cells are produced. If we talk about plasmodium, many daughter cells will be formed. Then it will be known as multiple fission. The next kind of asexual mode of reproduction is budding. In budding is a usual example of hydra. Hydra is the organism which reproduce by the mode of asexual reproduction, budding. What it does is, this is the main parent of the hydra. It develops a small outgrowth. This outgrowth develops into a new individual, and when the new individual is fully developed, then this gets detached from the parent body. This is how they produce their progeny. So the next type of asexual mode of reproduction is regeneration and fragmentation. Like a part of the body gets cut and the cutted part develops into a new individual. This is known as regeneration. This is the most commonly seen in lizards. You have seen if a lizard gets its tail hurted by something, or like its tail is cut by some injury or something, then it develops its tail again. Regeneration and fragmentation, the most common example is hydra, and even you can see it in planaria. See, this is a planaria. The body gets cutted into fragments, and each fragment develops into a new individual. This is an example of fragmentation and regeneration. Hope you have understand. The next mode of asexual reproduction is spore formation. The spore formation is an example of fungi. Fungi produce spores which grows a complete new organisms in favorable condition. Like this is a fungi which produce spores. These spores grows their hyphae, the growth part, and then develops into an individual which is similar to the parent. Now let's study about the vegetative preparation, like how organisms are made from the vegetative part of the plant. The vegetative part of the plant through which new individual can be formed is leaves, stem, root, and they can give rise to a new plant. You have seen like in your home, if somebody is growing vegetables, they grow from old potatoes, or even from the stem of mint and coriander. A whole new coriander can be produced. The basic example of vegetative propagation is bryophyllum. In this, from leaves, a whole new organism is produced. Stem, we have example of turmeric and ginger. Runner and stolon, we have example of strawberry. Bulb, we have example of onion. Now let's coming forward towards artificial mode of reproduction. And what is this artificial mode of reproduction? As the name suggests, artificial. It is artificially reproduction of new organisms. Have you ever seen like some gardeners do the cutting thing, grafting thing? Now I'll show you, it will be more clear to you. The basic examples of artificial mode of reproduction are cutting, grafting, layering, and plant tissue culture. Plant tissue culture you will be studying in higher classes, like from a small part of the plant, whether a root, leaf, stem, anything, a whole new organism is produced in lab. Everything happen in sterilized condition. What is sterilized condition? Sterilized condition is the condition in which it is aseptic, like you can say that free from any microbes or bacteria. I have told you about the vegetative propagation, and this is the roots of the plant part, and from these roots a new whole individual is developed. This is an example of sweet potato and dahlia. And as I've said, from stems we can propagate the whole new organism. Like if we cut this part and bury it inside the soil, it will form new individual. You have seen in potato has eyes. These eyes germinates, and if we cut this part and keep this germinating part above the soil and the potato part below the soil, it will produce new potatoes. Similar you can see in onions and gladiolus, and you have seen runner in case of strawberries. If you ever have been to some hilly areas, you have seen they are producing strawberries. Strawberries are usually produced in colder climate. This is how the production of strawberry happens. This is the main plant that this develops and outcomings, and this once again buries inside the soil, and this procedure goes on. Like if we cut it from this part, this can individually grow into a new individual. Hope you have got an idea about what is asexual vegetative mode of reproduction. This is vegetative propagation, which is taking place asexually. The production of new organisms from vegetative part. Now let's moving towards the artificial vegetative propagation. As I've told you, in tissue culture, in artificial mode of reproduction, this is the pattern how we can produce new organism from a smaller plant part. Everything happens in a sterilized condition in the laboratory. Now the other thing we have studied is cutting. How cutting takes place. A leaf is cut and then buried inside the soil by keeping the leafy part above, and this leafy part germinates and then produces new individual. Similarly, through cutting, you have seen if it is practiced at your home, you might have seen like from the stem of a tree or plant part, you can develop another plant. This is the mode of cutting. Then the other is layering. This is a simple mode of layering. This plant part, this is the main original parent part. One of the stem is elongated and then buried inside the soil, and afterwards it germinates. It is cut from the main plant. This procedure is layering. Now we have grafting. In grafting we have two parts. One is stalk, the other is scion. This is the common method known by the name kalam chadhana. Like on the gardeners used to practice this. You have seen pink color flowers. So they take the stalk of red rose, and over it the scion part is of white rose. Then it develops into pink rose. This is grafting. Now the layering we have started earlier. This is simple layering. We have air layering too. In air layering, the stem is covered with soil and with some humus content, and it is wrapped. And after it develops roots, it is cut down from the main parent and then buried into the soil. This is how they are producing new organisms or new plant. So in next class we will be studying about sexual reproduction. Thank you.